Have you ever been so scared of someone that even their footsteps made your heart pound like a drum? What would you do if you had to work in a place where fear lived in every corner, where one person's anger could destroy your whole world? Before we begin this incredible journey, please hit that like button, share this story with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe so you never miss our tales of courage. And tell us in the comments where you are watching from, because we absolutely love hearing from you, no matter where you are in the world. Now, let me tell you about a mansion where silence was survival, and speaking up seemed impossible. The first thing Selena noticed about the Harrison mansion was how quiet it was. Not the peaceful kind of quiet you feel on a lazy Sunday morning. No, this was the kind of quiet that made your skin crawl, the kind that happened when people were too afraid to even breathe loudly. Selena stood at the servant's entrance on her first day, clutching her small bag of belongings. The building stretched up toward the sky, like a giant made of white stone and glass. Every window sparkled. Every door shone like it had been polished 100 times. It was the most beautiful house she had ever seen. But somehow it felt cold, like a pretty cake made of ice. An older woman with gray hair and tired eyes opened the door. Her uniform was perfect, not a single wrinkle, but her hand shook just a little as she gestured for Selena to come inside. "I'm Agnes," the woman whispered, looking over her shoulder as if someone might be listening. "I've worked here for 15 years. Follow me closely, walk quietly, and whatever you do, never, ever speak unless you are spoken to first." Selena's stomach tightened. Why was Agnes whispering? Why did she look so scared in such a beautiful place? They walked through hallways that seemed to go on forever. The floors were made of marble so shiny that Selena could see her reflection. Paintings of serious-looking people in fancy clothes hung on the walls. Crystal lights dangled from the ceiling like frozen tears. Everything was perfect, too perfect, like a museum where you were afraid to touch anything. As they walked, Selena saw the workers. A young man polishing a table moved so carefully, as if one wrong move might break the whole world. Two maids carrying fresh towels walked on their tiptoes. Everyone moved like ghosts, silent and invisible. Why is everyone so quiet? Selena finally asked. Agnes's face went pale. She pulled Selena into a small room and shut the door. "Because of her," Agnes said, her voice barely louder than a breath. "Mrs. Victoria Harrison, the lady of the house. She is the reason we all walk on eggshells. She is the reason we whisper. She is the reason some people who worked here before you and me are no longer here at all." Before Selena could ask what that meant, a sound echoed through the halls. Click, click, click. High heels on marble. The sound got louder and closer, like a countdown to something terrible. Agnes's eyes went wide with terror. "She's coming," she gasped. "Quick, look busy. Don't look at her directly. Don't speak. Just bow your head and pray she passes by." Selena's heart hammered in her chest. Who was this woman that made grown people shake with fear? The door flew open with a bang that made both of them jump. There she stood, Victoria Harrison. She wore a dress the color of blood, bright red and smooth as silk. Her dark hair was pulled back, so tight it made her face look sharp and mean. Diamonds sparkled at her neck and wrists, catching the light like tiny pieces of ice. She was beautiful in the way a snake is beautiful, lovely to look at but dangerous to touch. Her cold blue eyes swept over Agnes, then landed on Selena. Those eyes were like freezing water, making Selena feel small and worthless in just one glance. "So," Victoria said, her voice smooth but sharp, like honey with broken glass mixed in, "this is the new maid. How utterly disappointing. She looks weak, useless, like she might cry if I speak too loudly." Selena felt her cheeks burn, but she kept quiet, remembering Agnes's warning. Victoria walked in a slow circle round Selena, looking her up and down like she was inspecting a piece of furniture she might buy. "In this house, you are nothing. You are invisible. You exist only to serve me, to make my life easier, to disappear when I don't need you. Do you understand?" Every part of Selena wanted to speak up, to say that people should be treated with kindness, that everyone mattered, but Agnes was making desperate faces at her, silently begging her to stay quiet. I asked you a question, Victoria snapped, her voice rising like thunder. When I speak to you, you answer me. Are you stupid as well as weak? I understand, ma'am, Selina said softly, the words tasting bitter in her mouth. Victoria smirked, a cruel smile that didn't reach her eyes. We shall see. Agnes, show this girl what happens when mistakes are made in my house. Perhaps watching you suffer will teach her properly. Agnes's face crumpled. Tears filled her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. Selina watched in horror as Victoria pointed to a tiny spot on the marble floor, a spot so small you could barely see it. This floor is filthy, Victoria announced, her voice dripping with fake shock. Agnes, you have been here 15 years, and you still cannot clean properly. You are pathetic, worthless, a failure. I'm sorry, Mrs. Harrison, Agnes whispered, her voice breaking. I'll clean it right away. You will clean the entire east wing, on your hands and knees, with a toothbrush, and you will finish before dinner, or you will not eat it all tonight. Selina's mouth dropped open. The east wing was enormous. It would take hours, maybe the whole day. And with a toothbrush? That was impossible. That was cruel. Agnes just nodded, tears finally sliding down her cheeks. Yes, Mrs. Harrison. Victoria turned back to Selina, that terrible smile still on her face. Let this be your first lesson, new girl. In my house, I am the queen. I am the law. I am everything. Cross me, disappoint me, or dare to speak against me, and you will wish you had never set foot in this mansion. Do we understand each other? Selina's hands curled into fists at her sides, but she forced herself to nod. Yes, ma'am. Good. Victoria's heels clicked across the marble as she walked away, leaving behind the smell of expensive perfume and fear. As soon as she was gone, Agnes collapsed against the wall, sobbing quietly into her hands. Selina knelt beside her, putting a gentle hand on her shoulder. Why do you stay? Selina asked. Why does anyone stay? Agnes looked up, her eyes red and tired. Because we need the money. Because jobs are hard to find. Because she promised to ruin us, to make sure we never work anywhere good again if we leave. She has power, child, money and power, and we have nothing. That night, Selina lay in her small room in the servants' quarters, unable to sleep. She could hear Agnes in the room next door, crying softly. Down the hall, other maids whispered their own stories of Victoria's cruelty. A woman fired for smiling too much. A man dismissed for walking too loudly. A girl humiliated in front of guests for dropping one spoon. Everyone was trapped. Everyone was afraid. And Victoria Harrison ruled over them all like a cruel queen in a castle made of fear. 3 weeks passed like 3 years. Every single day brought new horrors, new cruelties, new reasons to be afraid. Selina watched Victoria throw a plate of food across the dining room because the eggs were too cold, even though they were steaming hot. She saw her make a young maid stand in the corner for 2 hours because she sneezed during breakfast. She heard Victoria call Agnes stupid, worthless, and ugly so many times that Agnes stopped looking people in the eye. The worst part was not the yelling. The worst part was watching good, kind people shrink smaller and smaller, like flowers die in the dark. One morning, Selina was dusting the grand staircase when she heard crying coming from the library. She peeked inside and found Agnes sitting on the floor, surrounded by hundreds of books that had been thrown everywhere. Agnes, what happened? Selina rushed over and knelt beside her. Agnes's hands were bleeding from picking up books with torn pages. Her face was blotchy from crying. Mrs. Victoria came in while I was cleaning. She said I was breathing too loudly. Breathing, Selina, just breathing like a normal person. So she swept her arm across the bookshelf and knocked everything down. She said I have until noon to put every single book back in perfect order or she'll fire me. Selina felt anger bubble up inside her chest like hot lava. That's not fair. That's not right. You've worked here for 15 years. Fair. Agnes laughed, but it was a sad, broken sound. There's no such thing as fair in this house. There's only Victoria's way. I've seen her destroy 20 good people. Selina, 20. Some left crying. Some left angry. But they all left broken. And I'm still here because I'm too scared to go, too scared to fight back, too scared of everything. Selina helped Agnes pick up the books, her mind racing. How could one person have so much power? How could everyone just accept this? That afternoon, during the servants' lunch in the kitchen, Selina sat with the other staff members. There was Marcus, the gardener, who had a bruise on his arm for where Victoria had hit him with her umbrella for trimming a bush wrong. There was Sophie, a young maid with sad eyes, who hadn't smiled once since Selina arrived. There was old James, the driver, who jumped every time a door opened. "Why don't we all speak to Mr. Harrison?" Selina asked quietly. "He seems like a kind man. Maybe he doesn't know how terrible his wife is." The whole table went silent. Everyone stared at their food like it was the most interesting thing in the world. Finally, Agnes spoke. "Mr. Harrison travels for business. He's gone most of the time. And when he's here, Victoria is sweet as sugar in front of him. She smiles and laughs and acts like the perfect wife. He has no idea what happens when he's gone. We tried to tell him once years ago. 3 of us went to his office together." "What happened?" Selina asked. Victoria found out. She fired all 3 that very day, told Mr. Harrison they were stealing from a house. He believed her. They left with nothing, not even a good reference. Their lives were ruined. Sophie's quiet voice added, "My sister used to work here." She stood up to Mrs. Victoria once, just asked her politely to speak more kindly. Mrs. Victoria got her blacklisted from every good house in the city. Now my sister works 3 jobs just to survive. That's why I stay quiet. I have to send money home to my mother. I can't lose this job. Selina felt her heart break into a million pieces. Everyone at this table was trapped by fear, by money, by Victoria's power. They were good people who deserved respect and kindness, but instead they lived like prisoners. That evening, something happened that changed everything. Selina was bringing fresh towels to the upstairs bathroom when she heard Victoria's voice echoing through the hallway. But this time, she wasn't yelling. She was laughing. A cold, cruel laugh that made Selina's blood run cold. She peeked around the corner and saw Victoria standing outside Agnes's room. The door was open, and inside, Agnes was packing her small suitcase with shaking hands. Tears streamed down her face. 15 years, Victoria said with that terrible smile. 15 years of your pathetic life wasted in my service. And this is how it ends. Because you dared to sigh when I gave you extra work. A sigh, Agnes. One tiny sound complaint, and you're finished. Please, Mrs. Harrison, Agnes begged, her voice breaking. I have nowhere to go. No family. This house is all I have. I'm sorry for sighing. It won't happen again. Please. Begging? Victoria laughed harder. How delicious. But no, you're old, you're slow, and frankly, looking at your wrinkled face every day depresses me. I want someone younger, prettier, someone who knows their place. You're fired. Be gone in an hour. Agnes collapsed onto her bed, sobbing so hard her whole body shook. 15 years of service, of sacrifice, of swallowing her pride every single day, and this was her reward. Cruelty. Dismissal. Nothing. Something inside Selina snapped. It wasn't a loud snap, like a branch breaking. It was quiet, like a door unlocking. The door that kept her fear trapped inside. That door opened, and out walked courage. Selina stepped around the corner, her heart pounding but her voice steady. No. Victoria spun around, her eyebrows shooting up in surprise. Excuse me? Did you just speak to me without permission? I said no, Selina repeated, walking closer. You're not going to fire Agnes. You're not going to make her leave. Not like this. Not after 15 years of loyal service. The hallway went deathly quiet. Other servants who had heard the commotion peeked out from doorways, their eyes wide with shock and terror. Nobody spoke to Victoria like this. Nobody. Victoria's face turned red, then purple. Her hands curled into claws at her sides. How dare you, she hissed. How dare you speak to me like that? Do you have any idea who I am? I know exactly who you are, Selina said, and even though her hand was shaking, her voice stayed calm and strong. You're a person who treats other people like garbage. You're someone who thinks money and power give you the right to be cruel. But you're wrong. Wrong. Victoria's voice rose to a screech. I will destroy you. I will make sure you never work again. I will ruin your entire life. Maybe, Selena said, but at least I'll be able to look at myself in the mirror. At least I'll know I stood up for what's right. Can you say the same? Victoria's face twisted with rage. She raised her hand as if to strike Selena, and everyone gasped. But Selena didn't flinch. She stood her ground, looking Victoria straight in the eyes. If you hit me, Selena said quietly, then everyone here will see exactly what kind of person you really are. Not a lady. Not someone respectable. Just a bully who hurts people because she can. For a long moment, Victoria's hand stayed raised in the air. The whole mansion seemed to hold its breath. Then, slowly, Victoria lowered her hand, but her eyes burned with hatred. You just made the biggest mistake of your life, Victoria whispered. Both of you, Agnes and you're both fired. Pack your things and get out of my house. Now. Agnes looked at Selena with tears streaming down her face, but this time they were different tears. Not tears of defeat, tears of gratitude. Someone had finally stood up for her. Someone had finally said enough is enough. We'll go, Selena said. But you should know something. Every person in this house is afraid of you, but fear isn't the same as respect. You have all the money in the world, but you have no kindness, no love, no real power at all. Because real power doesn't come from making people scared. It comes from making people want to follow you. Victoria opened her mouth to scream something else, but Selena turned away and walked to Agnes. She helped the older woman stand up, put an arm around her shoulders, and together they walked toward the stairs. Behind them, servants watched from doorways. Their faces showed shock, fear, but also something else. Something that had been sleeping for a long time. A tiny spark of hope, a whisper of courage. Because if Selena could stand up to Victoria, maybe, just maybe, they could too. As Selena and Agnes reached the bottom of the grand staircase, something unexpected happened. Footsteps, not running away, coming closer. Selena turned around and saw Sophie standing at the top of the stairs. The young maid's hands were shaking, but her chin was lifted high. Mrs. Harrison, Sophie called out, her voice trembling but clear. Selena is right. You've been cruel to all of us for too long. Victoria whirled around, her face twisted with fury. You dare speak to me like that? You're fired too. Then fire me as well, another voice said. Marcus the gardener stepped forward from the hallway. Because I'm tired of being hit with umbrellas. I'm tired of being called worthless. And me, said old James, coming out from the kitchen. I've driven you around this city for 8 years, and you've never once said thank you. Only insults, only cruelty. One by one, servants emerged from every corner of the mansion. The cook, the stable boy, the laundry woman, the footman, all of them stepped forward, forming a line behind Selena and Agnes. Some were crying, some were shaking, but they were all standing together. Victoria looked at them all, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. For the first time since Selena had arrived, Victoria looked afraid. Not angry, afraid. You're all fired. Victoria screamed, her voice breaking. Every single one of you. I'll have you all thrown out onto the street. No, you won't. The deep voice came from the front door. Everyone turned to see Mr. Harrison standing in the entrance, his suitcase still in his hand. He had come home early from his business trip. His kind face was serious now, his eyes moving from his wife to the line of servants, then back again. What is going on here, Victoria? Victoria's expression changed instantly. The fury melted away like snow in the sun, replaced by a sweet smile that looked painted on. Darling, you're home early. These servants have been very rude and disobedient. I was just dismissing them for their terrible behavior. All of them. Mr. Harrison asked quietly, You were going to fire the entire staff? They ganged up on me, sweetheart, Victoria said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. They're lying troublemakers who don't appreciate everything we do for them. Mr. Harrison set down his suitcase. He walked slowly across the marble floor, his footsteps echoing in the silent mansion. When he reached the line of servants, he stopped in front of Agnes. "Agnes," he said gently, "you've worked in this house since before I married Victoria. You've always been honest with me. Tell me the truth. What happened here?" Agnes looked at Victoria, who was glaring at her with eyes full of threats. Then she looked at Selina, who nodded encouragingly. Agnes took a deep breath. "Mr. Harrison," Agnes began, her voice soft but steady, "for 15 years, I've been too scared to tell you the truth. Your wife has been cruel to all of us. She yells at us every day. She calls us names. She punishes us for tiny mistakes that aren't even mistakes at all. She hits us. She humiliates us. She makes us feel like we're nothing." "Lies!" Victoria shrieked. "She's lying. Darling, don't believe her." But Mr. Harrison held up his hand for silence. "Sophie, is this true?" Sophie nodded, tears rolling down her cheeks. "Yes, sir. She threatened to ruin my sister's life when my sister asked her to be kinder. My sister lost everything because of her. Marcus," Mr. Harrison asked. Marcus showed him the bruise on his arm. "She hit me with her umbrella yesterday because she didn't like how I trimmed the roses. This isn't the first time." One by one, every servant told their story. The cook talked about how Victoria threw food at him. The laundry woman showed scars from being hit with a hairbrush. Old James described years of insults that made him feel worthless. Each story was like another crack in the beautiful, perfect mask that Victoria wore. Mr. Harrison's face grew darker and darker as he listened, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. When the last servant finished speaking, he turned to his wife. Victoria's sweet smile was gone now. Her face was pale, her eyes wild. "They're all lying," she said desperately. "You know they are. You know I would never." "I received a phone call at my hotel this morning," Mr. Harrison interrupted, his voice cold and hard, "from Mrs. Peterson next door. She told me she heard shouting and crying from our house almost every day. She was worried about our staff. I didn't believe her, so I came home early to see for myself." He pulled out his phone and pressed a button. Suddenly, Victoria's voice filled the hallway, recorded and clear. "You're pathetic. You're worthless. You're nothing but garbage that I allow to work in my beautiful home." It was Victoria's voice from that very morning, when she had been yelling at Agnes. Mr. Harrison had been recording from his car outside. Victoria's face went from pale to gray. That's taken out of context. You don't understand." "I understand perfectly," Mr. Harrison said, his voice like ice. "I understand that I married someone who has been tormenting innocent people while I was away working to provide for this household. I understand that I've been blind and foolish, but I'm not blind anymore." He turned to face the servants, and his eyes were full of sadness and shame. "I am so deeply sorry. All of you, you deserve protection, and I failed you. Victoria's behavior is unforgivable, and it ends today." Victoria grabbed her husband's arm. "You can't do this to me. I'm your wife." Mr. Harrison gently removed her hand. "You're my wife, but that doesn't give you the right to abuse people. You have a choice, Victoria. You can go to therapy, work on yourself, and learn to treat people with respect. Or you can leave this house. Those are your only two options. This is my house, too." Victoria screamed, all pretense of sweetness gone now. "You can't throw me out." "Actually, the house is in my name," Mr. Harrison said calmly, "and I will not allow cruelty under my roof. Choose now, Victoria. Change or leave." Victoria looked around at all the faces watching her. For years, she had been the queen of this mansion, ruling with fear and cruelty. But now, her power was gone, stripped away by the truth, by courage, by people who had finally found their voices. She let out a sound that was half scream, half sob, then ran up the stairs to her bedroom. Slamming the door behind her, Mr. Harrison turned back to the servants. "Please stay. All of you. This is your home, too. From this day forward, there will be new rules in this house. Everyone will be treated with respect and dignity. Everyone will be paid fairly. And anyone who feels mistreated can come directly to me without fear. Agnes started crying again, but these were happy tears. Sophie hugged Marcus. Old James smiled for the first time in years. Relief washed over everyone like warm sunshine after a long, cold winter. Selina felt Agnes squeeze her hand. "Thank you," Agnes whispered. "Thank you for being brave when the rest of us couldn't be." "You were brave, too," Selina said. "You all were. It just took one person to go first." Mr. Harrison walked over to Selina and shook her hand. "I don't know your name, but I know you started this. Thank you for having the courage to protect people who couldn't protect themselves. That takes real strength." "My name is Selina, sir, and I only did what anyone should do. Stand up for what's right." Over the next few weeks, the mansion changed. Victoria chose to leave rather than change, moving out to live with her parents in another city. The servants still worked hard, but now they laughed while they worked. They sang. They smiled. The house that had been filled with fear became filled with warmth. Agnes became the head housekeeper, treating everyone with the kindness she had always wished for. Sophie's sister got a job at the mansion, too, and the two of them worked side by side. Marcus planted a special garden that everyone could enjoy. Old James drove with pride, knowing he was valued and respected. And Selina? She learned that courage wasn't about being fearless. It was about being scared but doing the right thing anyway. She learned that one voice speaking up could inspire 100 more. She learned that silence might feel safe, but allows cruelty to grow. Most importantly, she learned that every person, no matter who they are or what job they do, deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. The mansion still stood tall and beautiful, but now it was beautiful on the inside too. Because true beauty isn't about marble floors and crystal chandeliers. It's about kindness. It's about courage. It's about people treating each other like human beings, not servants or queens, but equals. And in that mansion, where fear once ruled, dignity finally found its home. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear that their voice matters. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss stories that inspire courage and change. And tell us in the comments what you learned from Selina's brave stand, because we love hearing from you. Remember, you have more power than you think. Sometimes all it takes is one person to stand up and say enough is enough. Be that person. The world needs your courage.